but I feel like that's it. Like you just do that kind of stuff, but on a bigger scale, right?
Totally.
It's like your little project, and that's a business. Like that's that's it.
I know, and it's just like it's so cool to look at it and be like, yeah, we like made that out of nothing.
Yeah, but that's like such a smart idea.
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. Thanks. I don't know how it all came about, but it was just crazy. Literally planned on buses overnight.
Yeah.
So.
I love it.
Liza.
Yeah. So I guess for
Best
me,
for last.
Best for last.
oh, shucks. So I guess obviously my story like kind of intersects with Rob at a certain point, but for me, I'm a hairstylist and a salon owner, and for as long as I can remember, I've always loved doing hair.
Mm-hmm.
What's your first like hair memory?
Yeah.
I have such distinct memories from my childhood of like going to the hairstylist, which I grew up in like a small farming town, so it was like Heather Fallenbach was the local hairstylist. Shout out Heather. I've actually recently tried to get in contact with her and cannot find her because I'm like, literally, like you changed my life.
Yeah.
But she had a home salon, and it was like that's where everyone in the town went to get their haircut, and my mom would take us, and I can remember every detail, like the photos she had on the wall, the board that you would sit on the chair because you were too small for that regular chair, and like the feeling of the water, the spray bottle, the comb in your hair. Like I just loved getting my haircut, and my mom would write her a check for $10.
To write her a
She
check.
would write her a check.
For $10, and you get your haircut, and I just loved it. And she always had like this stack of like these big hair books with like the most heinous looking styles.
You
and
would
like
never wear.
But you'd like flip through the book and like pick one and hope that you looked like that in the end, and
you never did.
Never did. But yeah, I don't know what it was, but I just loved it. And I never cut my Barbie's hair ever because I think I like knew the gravity of a haircut, and that like this was like a big deal, and you can't just like
do it.
You can't just do it. You can't, like I never cut M's hair, never cut my own bangs as a kid, like because I just knew.
Even I cut like my Stuffy's hair.
Right? Most kids do, but I think I like knew that like
cut my dog's hair.
This required skill and like
everyone got a hair.
Just like don't mess with it. But I always loved doing M's hair, doing my sister's hair. Did like friends' hair, like was always like trying different styles and braids and stuff like that, which was kind of funny because simultaneously, like I was the hugest tomboy ever. I wanted to be the first female to make it in the NFL. No joke. I wanted to be a wide receiver in the NFL / a dairy farmer. Those were like my two goals in life.
Yeah.
So I was like such a tomboy and like fully like, in junior high, got all my hair cut off. Wow. And like only dressed in boys' clothes, and older people thought I was a boy all the time. So I was this tomboy, but I like still like loved hair. I loved doing updos on Emma's hair, and I loved like doing my friend's hair. And I guess because I was really good at sports, so I didn't really know
like what the bounds
were. I didn't really know like how to be like sporty and athletic, but also like express femininity at the same time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just all through high school and into university, I was always dyeing my roommate's hair.
Oh yeah.
In the bathroom, I bought like 2 different boxes of hair color and like dye one half of their head this color and the other half this color, and there's just something that I just loved about it. But in my family, everyone just the next step after high school is you go to university. It was just, it was never really a question. It was just like, that's just the next step. That's what you do. So, being a hairstylist it didn't really occur to me that could be like a career.
No. Yeah.
It was just like something that was really fun. So, after high school, moved out to British Columbia, went to university, and took business, and like just absolutely fell in love with it. But it's kind of funny because like growing up, the running joke in my family was that I would literally do anything for money. So I was like always trying to start a business as a kid.
Yeah.
So like lemonade stand, dog
Yeah.
walking business,
Yeah.
like babysitting business. Like I legit tried to sell cucumbers on the side of like the road on like a busy road. And like pretty much only semi trucks would drive by this road.
Oh,
And I
God.
like in like 4 hours I sold 3 cucumbers and made 75
Were you selling
cents.
whole cucumbers
Full
or
cucumbers.
slices?
No, full cucumbers from the garden.
Okay.
I was always trying to start a business, but then in high school I was so bad at math, so I equated it that I could never go into business because I'm bad at math. So never took a business class in high school, even though there were business classes available. Never considered taking business in university, and then I needed an extra credit in my first year of university, and was like, well, I'll take like an intro to business class, but was terrified because I'm like, I'm not good at math. So
Business 101.
Business 101
With Brent.
with Brent.
Yeah. Yeah, side note, you guys went to the same
Same
university.
university.
Oh my
in Brent.
gosh, she's the best.
Just lower your mic.
Oh right.
He was like moderately terrifying, like this giant redhead who was just like, yeah. But I literally fell in love with that business class. Like I fell in love with it, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many aspects of business that don't involve like
Math.
being an accountant,
Yeah.
or, like just number
Yeah,
crunching.
yeah.
And so I think for me,
Also, I think he's just really great, and
he was a phenomenal professor, like
Yeah.
just hysterical. And
Do you ever throw things at people?
he would always throw
Okay,
things
yeah.
at people.
I would be the person who would throw things back.
He would always talk about how we needed more like redheaded sex symbols.
I agree.
He
1000%.
would always talk about like, why is there no like sexy redhead accountant as like the star of a movie?
God, I
What
love
accountant is sexy?
I don't know, but he just had this thing because he was like this big ginge, like he was a huge guy who was a ginge, and he was just like always talk about how he'd always talk about Horatio Kane from CSI.
yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like there's like one redheaded sex symbol all the time. Anyways,
Okay.
I digress.
Love it.
But yeah, so then I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, I can take business classes. And so after one semester, after Business 101,
Yeah.
I switched my major from kinesiology, because I thought I was going to be a gym teacher, switched my major
Wow.
from
Into
kinesiology into business, and that was it. And I loved it. And I loved that I took all the entrepreneurship courses I could, I took all the marketing courses I could. Completely like flubbed my way through stats and all the, all those ones that you like
275.
that you had to do that
Yeah.
just killed me.
Sheesh.
But it was like all the ones that were more the creative side of business, like creating something out of nothing, and
Yeah.
that was just so cool to me. And so it was like probably my third year when you're starting to think, okay, like I'm coming to the end of my degree, what the heck am I going to do afterwards? Everyone in my business classes were like going to work at Boeing or going to work at Microsoft, or going to go take over their family business.
So many people like
Right?
that.
And they all hated it. They're like, I don't want to take over my dad's business, but it's what I got to do. And I was like, you're so lucky. Like, that's so cool. So that's kind of when I thought about maybe going to hair school. And, but I was definitely like, I was insecure about voicing that, because I was like, here I am getting a very expensive undergrad in business, and then I'm going to go to hair school. Like, it just seemed like, it just seemed like I was taking a big step backwards, or like, what the heck are you doing? And it was actually like the guy I was dating at that time I was like talking to him about this, and I was like, I don't know, like I think I want to do this, but like, I don't know, I don't know if I can, like, and he's like, you're the one that has to wake up and do it every day, so like, who cares what other people think? And
Such
I
a
was
good
like,
point.
So true.
and I was
Such
like,
a good
so
point.
true.
yeah, and I was like so appreciative of that. And that kind of just like stuck with me. So it's kind of my third year is like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish my degree. I'm going to go to hair school, and someday I'm going to open a hair salon. And I can remember like graduating at Trinity and walking across the stage, and at your commencement they would say like, you know, this is so and so, and this is what this is like what they're going on to do after.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they're like so and so, and like he's going on to work at Boeing, and this is so and so. He's like, you know, going to work at whatever KPMG, and then literally they were like, Eliza Trendiak, she's going to do hair.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and I was like,
going to do hair.
yeah, and I was
Hair.
like, damn straight I am. So, so I like graduated in April and moved to Vancouver with one of my best friends. We lived in this tiny little hobbit hole, and I started hair school like 4 months later. And it was a 12-month program, and I needed a job at the same time because I was like so broke and paying for hair school on my own. So while I was in school, I got a job at Blow, the blow dry bar, because I wanted a job. Yeah, so it was like a place like all they do is wash and blow dries. So you just go, you get your hair, you just go and get your hair styled.
Wow.
They don't do any cuts, colors. So you could get a job there without technically being a hairstylist.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I was like, if I'm going to hair school and I'm in hair school, I might as well be practicing everything I'm learning rather than, you know, being a waitress or something. Mm-hmm. So it was like slave labor. You worked for minimum wage, and it was 12-hour shifts.
Whoa.
And you signed a thing in the beginning that you waived the right for overtime. So you like literally minimum wage 12-hour shifts, and I worked there while the Olympics were happening.
Oh, seriously?
So, and everyone in the world wanted their hair done because they were going out to party. So I was working like 12-hour shifts during the Olympics, and then was like too exhausted to go out and like party afterwards. Yeah. Meanwhile, Rob was probably a couple blocks away, like
literally, actually.
We didn't know.
Is that legal? You can like make someone sign their.
Yeah, technically, like you can get. I mean,
as long as I
don't know like the legality of it, but when you're.
But a lot of people will just sign it.
We
but if it's against if it's against BC
if it's
laws,
further than the minimum, then it's illegal.
Yeah.
Technically.
But when you're 21 and
you're not going to say anything. You're going to sign it.
You're going to
sign take
it,
the job.
and you're going to take the job. So.
Yeah, like it worked for you. You have like one of the best blow dries.
Well, absolutely. Like, so I feel like that really kind of like
12 hours of just practicing.
Yeah,
of course.
And not only just like the skill of doing the hair, but also the skill of like having a stranger come in and sit in your chair and being able to like
to
talk with them.
Converse.
Yeah. So I feel like it's
so valuable.
It kind of like
you basically like went to school.
Right. Yeah. Right. So it definitely like kind of set me apart. I think in hair school a little bit, at least for my very first employer. So while we were in school, you would choose different salons throughout the year to go and do a work experience at. So I went and did a work experience at this salon called Style Lab in Yaletown, and it was this huge chair rental salon. They had like 15 chairs. And the owner would do like 15 clients a day, and it was just like, it was so fast paced. And I said to the owner, I was still in school at this time, I was like, I want to work here, I want to work for you. Mm-hmm. Like I will pick up your laundry, your dry cleaning, I will bring you lunch, like what do I need to do to work here? And he's like, you work at Blow, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, well, blow dry her hair. I want to see how good you are. And he gave me like the biggest lion's mane of hair. Like his client with literally like the hugest, biggest, thickest curly hair. Wow. And was like, blow dry her hair smooth. And I was, and so I was like, I went and I did it and I like completely rocked it. And he's like, okay, cool. When you're done, you can come work for me. Sweet. So I went and I worked for him and I assisted him a couple days a week, and then he had a couple assistants at the time, so I would assist him on like his really busy days, so like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the rest of the time he would let me he would let me use a chair and do my own clients. So sometimes I do clients before or after my shift. I do it on the days he wasn't working. And
sorry, pause for a sec. I was just thinking, I can't wait for it to come full circle when someone says that to you.
To you.
And you pull that kind of boss move and be like, just go and do that real quick. And be like, okay, cool, you can work for me.
Yeah, totally. And so, so that was, I worked there. I worked as his assistant for about 10 months. During that 10 months, I ran a Groupon because I was like, I will do.
Oh, the
I
Groupon. Because I was like, I will do anything for clients. Like
you had the hustle.
I had the hustle. Yeah. Like every head of hair that I saw, I was like a stalker. Like on the bus, I was like, she's got roots. Like, I'll give her my card. And I literally would go to the mall and follow girls with roots and like work up the courage to talk to them.
So scary.
And like be like hiding in racks
That's
of clothing.
That's so smart. I'm like, that's like such a. Oh, I would love doing that.
But it's so scary because essentially it's like
totally like, oh, that dress looks real on you. Actually, my sister-in-law does hair. Check this out. Right. She'll literally rock your hair. Next person. Oh, that looks.
It was so terrifying because you have to figure out a way of saying it without making somebody feel like, oh, does my hair look bad?
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But there were some really like terrifying moments there.
Did you ever get like a script down? Like, did you have like a pickup line?
Kind of a little bit. I basically said, like I wouldn't say I'm a brand new stylist because no one wants to get their hair done by a brand new stylist. So I'd say like I'm a hairstylist and I'm new to this neighborhood, and I'm looking to build my clientele.
That's really good.
And I,
that's good.
I love to work with your type of hair. And I would say that to
everyone.
Yeah.
Perfect script. I love that. That's like so
and
great.
would hand up my card, and half the time I get like really weird kind of blank stares. But
you get people.
There was this one girl in particular that she came, and it was funny because she didn't call me for a couple of weeks, and then she called me. She's like, "Yeah, you talked to me in the mall. You gave me your card." And at first I was kind of like, yeah, I know my roots are bad, but she's like, so I went home and tried to make an appointment with my hairstylist, and turns out she moved, so I thought I'd give you a try. And then that girl brought her like 2 cousins, who then brought like 4 of their friends, and like pretty soon I was doing like this huge friend group.
That is.
But yeah, like, man, building a clientele from like nothing is seriously not for the faint of heart.
Okay, but you kind of skipped over Groupon.
So I gotta go back to Groupon.
Like Groupon is not something to skip on.
No. So I ran a Groupon for a $19 wash and blow dry. Okay. So a wash and blow dry
usually is how much?
Usually, like for a junior stylist in this city, is probably $45 or $50. Okay.
And how long does it take?
And it takes an hour. You book an hour.
Okay. And I know Groupon takes half.
So no, they take more than half. For every $19 blow dry, Groupon would keep 10 and I would get 9.
Oh my god.
So
and then took you an hour.
Sold 370
Oh my god.
How did you end up? Was there not a limit?
There was no limit because they technically don't expire. So I sold 370, and at first I was like, "This is amazing!" Like I think I made like $3,000.
Yeah,
I got paid out $3,000 or something like that from Groupon.
Yeah,
and that was like more money than I had seen in my bank account ever, and I was stoked. But then I'm like, "Oh wait." That's 370 hours worth of work that I now have to do for the next year.
Oh my god.
I was literally doing... By this time, I wasn't at Blow anymore. I was at Style Lab, and I was doing like 12 hours of blow dries back to back. And people would be pissed because I couldn't take them on Saturdays because I was an assistant on Saturdays. Mm-hmm. So I would sometimes come in at like 7 a.m. and do one like at 7, 8, 9, work for the owner at 10... finish with him at 7 and then like do 2 more.
Oh wow.
Oh my god.
So it's
just funny though. People pay like nothing and then they get pissed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Come on.
But anyway, so
Silly.
in the long run, like that was like, it was actually like as close to slave labor as I've ever experienced. But it got me at least looking like I was busy.
Yeah.
So even if like the majority of those clients didn't stay because they were like perpetual Groupon people, other clients or people walking by the salon would see like that I always had somebody in my chair, which like gave me a bit of credibility. So
That's
anyways.
like,
Wow.
you're pretty much paying for that.
Oh,
Which is really good. I mean, like I feel like you guys have had such smart like marketing things.
seriously.
I'm like,
that one did not feel smart at all. That felt like, what have I done with my life?
I don't think it was smart. I think it's having the ability to have a good perspective on something.
Yeah.
I do remember, because we were definitely dating at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think we were engaged, and I don't think it was like near our honeymoon. But there was, explain how it ended. Do you remember?
So basically, the Groupon it would expire after a year. So the deal would expire after a year, but whatever they had, the $19, once the year was up, they would never lose that $19. They could use that towards like a full price service. Yeah.
Right.
So it was, but the $19 blow dry deal you could only get within that 1 year.
Yeah.
So people inevitably like push it off, and then Groupon sends out a thing like, hey, your thing's about to expire. So probably 2 weeks before it expired, I had like 40 to 50 people email me being like, I need to get in for a blow dry. And we were going to Hong Kong.
Yeah, okay, it was Hong Kong.
To visit my dad, because my dad was living in Hong Kong at the time.
I forgot where it was.
And I was getting all these angry emails from people being like, we can't get in with you. This is like...
And it just, the vacation happened to line up with the ending date of this year-long Groupon thing. And we didn't plan it that way. Yeah. But yeah,
I was getting angry emails like from Groupon, the company, being like, "You're not allowed to go on vacation. You have to fulfill this Groupon." I'm like, "Well, I'm already in Asia, so."
And I'm just like, "Come on, Groupon! Like, you can't dictate people taking vacations. It's not like we bounced for a year. It was mess.
It was messy.
Man.
But all in all, I like look back and I'm like, it worked. It like got me busy. I did get some of those people that actually turned into like regular clients and stuff like that, but that was a very tiring year. But
biggest lesson from Groupon, what did you learn? Best takeaway?
Best takeaway, I think, is, I don't know, I think in the beginning of your career you have to think outside the box and you have to do things you don't want to do. Yeah. Like you just have to. And there's a difference between, I think, like doing things for free and getting walked over and just like being a doormat for a while, but you like, let's face it, in the beginning of your career, like there's things that you have to do that you just like have to get through. And
absolutely.
I don't know, I don't regret it because I was like, at least I was busy and I was practicing my skills and I made a tiny bit of money. But yeah, so.
And luckily you had the free chair.
And I had a free chair.
Yeah.
So there was like less cost to you.
While I was an assistant. So, so after about a year of assisting, I just started renting a chair at that salon. So it's like running my own business out of that. And I was there for 4.5 years. And all the while, like having the dream of owning my own salon. And I had started writing a business plan. I'd worked on this business plan for like over a year, and I would like look at spaces, but I had no savings. I had no money. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know how I'm ever gonna open a salon. I have no money. And so just literally kept working on this business plan. I think I had the business plan written for maybe 2 years. And like would go through phases of like, this dream's gonna come true one day, and then some days I'd be like, I'm never gonna dream again. Like, what's the point? But long story short, when Rob and I were engaged, we got in a car accident. Somebody T-boned us, drove through a stoplight and T-boned us. And one of my clients at the time was like, well, do you have an injury lawyer? And I was like, no, I can't afford a lawyer. But she's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, you know, if you've been in an accident, like an injury lawyer will go to bat for you and get you, you know, like a settlement. Because it did really kind of affect, I know Rob and I both,
oh yeah, like
our ability to
just keep it where it was. I know it sounded good.
our ability to kind of work.
Doesn't matter.
As long and as we did, and that both of us having physical jobs. So, anyways, long story short, it was probably close to the end of the time that I was at that salon. I knew I wanted to open a salon kind of in our neighborhood, so I ended up moving to a salon on Main Street because I wanted to get my clients used to kind of coming to Main Street. And then we got a call one day that we got a settlement, and a settlement for $40,000, which to me was just like mind-blowing, astronomical amount of money.
Yeah.
And that day I was like, Rob, we're opening a salon.
We just put it in an account.
We just put it in an account, and we got the call on like November 28th.
It wasn't.
And all December, all I did was look at spaces, and we found the Fraser Street salon space in January. And we signed the lease, and we're like, okay, we're doing this. Like, it was just no question.
Yeah.
We got this money, and we're like, we're doing this.
That's where it's going into.
That's where all of it. That's where it's going. I was like, I don't want to buy anything fancy. Like,
I'm sure we took a little bit of money and did something, but it was like the whole thing.
Well, we were just like, that's what we're doing. So, so we got our space, we got the keys for it, and we negotiated like a month rent free. And of course, like waiting for permits and stuff, it sat empty for that whole month.
Of course.
And I was like, no.
It was actually like, I think we got 3 months, but it was like the first month of every year.
Right.
It was like every
something
April,
like that. Yeah.
months. So then the next April was like
So we ended up finding a contractor that was referred to us, and funny story, he actually ended up, like, he was referred to me through a client, and it turned out like we actually grew up across the street from each other in Ontario, in our tiny town. Like, his sister and my sister and I would always like play together, and here he was on the other side of the country, and so he's been our contractor for all the salons now.
Okay.
But yeah, we literally went in and had no idea what we're doing. It was a computer repair store.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was dingy. It was like a weird shape, like it's like a short fat space, which salons are normally like long and narrow. So we hired our friend who is just like has amazing style, and she kind of did all the decor. I knew like the functionality of a salon, of like, you know, where things should kind of go, but she really knew how to kind of decorate and make it look cool. And then we kind of just did like as much of it ourselves as we could. And like there was like literal blood, sweat, and tears in that salon. Literally. Yeah. But so
we all cried at one point.
We definitely all cried at one point. So that was back in, we opened on Canada Day 2015, and that salon...
Is that July 1st?
Okay,
July 1st.
We were supposed to
open our studio.
Really?
Became operational July 1st
No
of
way.
2019.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of funny.
That's
we were supposed to open on the 1st, but I remember it was 35 above out. And somehow during construction, we blew the internal breaker for the air conditioner.
Oh my gosh.
And
I remember that day.
Yes.
It was an insanely hot.
And you can't blow dry people in the heat.
So
And
we were supposed to be open for business, and we were like, we
couldn't pay the person holiday.
No.
Sorry, was this last year?
No. I
2015.
specifically remember
2015.
that July 1st because I
Okay.
helped someone move
in
that heat.
It was
And it
awful.
was disgusting.
We were like working with tools, and it was just like almost getting like heat rash just from like,
we're like I can't do hair in this,
No,
so we
so
ended up
gross.
just like opening the next day.
when the air conditioner guy, and he came, literally flipped a switch, and it was good to go.
So then that salon operates as a chair rental salon, so it's all independent stylists there. They all run their business out of that location under the umbrella of Artel Salon. And the name Artel but going back to like naming your business and how super hard that is. Our graphic design friend who
same one
who designed like the trendy creative stuff. We kind of put together a list of a bunch of different names, which I actually recently came across. And some of my like other names that I had chosen, I was like, that is awful.
Like what?
Oh gosh, like some like French words. And I'm like, I don't speak French, but like, it sounds like bougie. But yeah, so the word artel is a Russian word, but it means an association of artists living and working together. So you would have like an artel of painters and an artel of, you know,
I love that.
Potters or whatever. Yeah. So I just thought it's easy to say, it's easy to spell. It's not like super girly. So and it's gender neutral, and it kind of like embodies, you know, like that kind of community kind of vibe that we want. So, so kind of like we got that up and running. You know, it took about a year to fully staff it, and then I was instantly like, okay, now what? Like, now what? Like, I realized that, like,
That's the classic Eliza.
I, like, love starting businesses. Like, if I could just, like, do nothing but start them, like, it's just so fun. So yeah, then the opportunity came up to purchase another salon, and, you know, at the time, we were kind of like, well, yeah, we were getting lots of inquiries for stylists, but we don't have any room. So that just kind of fell into our lap. So 2 years later, opened the second location, and then had no plans of opening a third, like zero plans. So the beginning of last year, beginning of 2019, remember literally saying to Rob, like, I'm just totally at peace right now. Like, I just feel like we've got such good like work-life balance. It's so chill. Like, I actually am totally cool with just like chilling and just like running the businesses, you know, making them better, making them more efficient. But like, I don't really feel the need to like start anything. And then of course, like, boom, a couple weeks later, I get a call about a salon that
just closed down, right?
Just closed down. The owner just kind of like took off, so wasn't even selling the business. It was just a salon that was available to take over it. And I was like,
we couldn't say no.
I was like, oh shit. I was like, I can't say no. So yeah, that's been like this whole last year, 2019, and it's our biggest space, and definitely like each one, I kept thinking like, oh, this one's gonna this is gonna be easier. I've done this already, but like each one has had such unique like challenges. Definitely like those moments of like, why the heck did we do this? But then also like I wouldn't change it. So
you're probably standing there being like, wow, okay, so what did we do?
Yeah, literally. Tell me again how we did this.
I think we're legit done. No more new spaces.
Yeah.
No, I actually think that way because like
we've said that before, but yes, I too feel that way. I feel like I don't think I could handle much more unless we like really like, you know, had kind of like some kind of organizational thing where I had lots of different managers and all this kind of thing. But I think our capacity right now for Rob and I and for Shay, our salon manager, like I'm done.
Yeah.
And I think this new one is the biggest one, and there's like so much room to grow. Yeah. Like we're not going to max out in a year, where the other two we kind of maxed out within a year.
Absolutely.
So there's that.
Well, and two, like, because you always hear about like, you know, businesses that expand too quickly. You know, they like do really well in their first couple of years, and they just kind of explode, and then they fizzle.
Yeah.
And so, you know, keeping that in mind. There was other opportunities for us to open a third location, but we actually turned down a couple other opportunities because I was like, you know what? The second one is not at capacity. It's not operating as well as I know it can. And so it wasn't until we were literally bursting at the seams where we had like 11 stylists working in a 7-chair salon. Like there's now physically nowhere to grow. Yeah. And that's when I was kind of like, okay, I can wrap my mind around a third space because we don't really have anywhere to grow right now. So right now we've got a lot of room to grow.
And I think one thing you really learned, and I've seen you really learn, is to not make decisions out of like emotion. Like when the other third salon opportunities came, like you were like, yeah, let's do it. Like emotionally you wanted to, but then once you like sat down and crunched the numbers, it just wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it came down to the numbers, and if you like listen to the numbers, it was really easy to say no.
Yeah.
Totally.
And that's also just like we were saying about like the bursting at the seams, growing thing. Like that's kind of how we've taken it, where it's like we are at the point now where like it's almost detrimental not to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
It's holding you back now.
Yeah, it's holding you back. Yeah, so it's like we need to like hire someone to then we need a full-time person because we need it, or else like
because you guys are sewing at 1 a.m.
Actually,
like
and eating pancakes out of bowls.
Yes. We literally had cereal for dinner tonight.
That's right.
Tonight.
Yeah.
So,
but I always find that like I don't know, with growth, it's kind of like you grow, and there's always this like breaking point of like we need to jump to the next level, but we know it's going to cost us, but it's
scary.
Also it's going to like you said, it's going to cost us in a bad way if we don't.
If we don't.
Yeah.
And that's all, and then you kind of like you teeter there for a little while and it's rough, but then you like
you can't always. You gotta take those leaps that are like, you feel like you're like, I can't really wrap my mind around how we're gonna
make this work. Yeah.
But then it's like, you just do it and you're like, actually, you know what? We can do this.
Yeah,
like, we can make it work.
Yeah.
We literally did that this year. It was like June, we both went full time. July, we moved into our first space. August, we both moved out of my parents' house.
Yeah.
September, we hired our first full-time employee, and it was like every single time we're like, what are we doing? Like, it was insane. We just kept adding expenses, and we were just like, oh, okay, like here we go. Now this month we just gotta sell more, like do more.
Yeah.
And it worked out just fine.
Totally.
But it's
and it's always, I feel like it's hilarious how you like acclimatize to different things. So like when we were first married, like we would have serious conversations about whether to spend $20 on something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when you become a business owner, it's like $1,000 is the new $20.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
It's like, okay.
That thing is only $1,000. Yeah,
Sweet
totally.
dough.
You know, and then I'm like, you start to get to another point where you're like, okay, $5,000 for that thing. Like, okay, yeah, I guess like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but doesn't it feel funny? Like, it feels fine to spend that, but in your personal bank account?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Totally different. Like, totally different.
But from
like,
the business,
it's growth, it's all that. And then it's like personal bank account. I'm like, I haven't seen money in there literally ever.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think this must have been like mid 2019. We were in a thrift store, and there was this beautiful velvet chair that we were like, ooh.
Oh my gosh, I remember.
It was like pink, dusty pink. It was beautiful.
It was so nice. I think I still have a picture.
Yeah.
Of it.
Oh, you guys didn't get it.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
And we were like, okay, like, we really want this chair, but it was $45.
We were plotting like, okay, 2 weeks from now,
can we afford $45? And we literally sat in the chair for like 15 minutes, and we were like, it's so
we were sitting
comfortable.
there, and we were there with other people, and they were like, let's go. And we're like, okay, we were just trying to like decide on this chair.
And then in the end, we were like, we can't spend the $45. And then now we're like, could have just spent the $45, but like it was like at that time, because I think that was at right around the time we were about to go full time. We're like, we can't spend any money, but
only on what we need to.
Yeah.
And employees, my God.
Yeah, like for me, it's so there. I feel like there's like nothing more encouraging than hearing that there's other business owners that like appear like they're absolutely slaying it.
Yeah.
But that like
just like
the cash flow struggle is real.
Yeah.
Like it's so
real.
Real.
Oh my gosh, it's insane. Yeah. And I think that's like when I first got to know Rob and Eliza, you guys. Like, I was like, you know, back when this was, like, I really got to know you guys when you were opening the first salon. That's like when we really started to kind of like hang out and stuff. And I was like, I've always been a hard worker. Like, I was 4th year university when I was doing my final collection. I had 3 jobs. Nobody in my class had 3 jobs. I had 3 jobs, and I was like working like every single minute, and then creating this collection. Something I actually wanted to touch on is like kind of a little bit of what you were talking about, how like use the opportunity while you're in school to like do the things that like you might not have the opportunity to do when you're working, but also working, you learn so much. So like I was like a design assistant at Lululemon. I was working in a factory, and I was working in a store.
The factory.
I was working in a factory. Like, factory, I learned everything I needed to know about manufacturing. Like, what sewing machines I needed. Like, what, you know, like, just, like, everything. Like, fabrics. I learned so much about all that stuff. Like, design assistant at Lululemon, I learned more about, like, corporate and all that kind of stuff. But, anyways, that was kind of like just a side thing. But you can learn a lot from working while you're in school. But when you guys were like hustling to like start your salon, I remember just feeling like, okay, like I get these people. Like, I'm like, I know. Like, at that time, I think I was still in school. I was just like,
well, yeah, you were definitely in school because we went to your
right.
Grad.
So I remember just being like, like these people, they know how to work. Like, they get it. And I was like,
It is like I do kind of like struggle to find people who get it.
Yeah.
And then the people who get it are busy working as well. But then there's just some people just don't get it, which is cool. Like, and they're
not everybody needs to get it.
They're hard workers in their own mind, and like the economy's like needs employees. Like, not everyone can be an entrepreneur or a social influencer. But it's definitely like somebody just don't get it. I think a lot of our parents' generation don't get it. Like, I think all of our parents.
That's one of the things I put in our like topic bowl for later was your baby boomer parents' opinion of your career choice.
Because it's literally like, can you come over tonight? No.
No. I know. I get like literally every week. It's like, no, I'm literally working till 1 a.m. Like every day. Like every single day I'm working till 1 a.m. I'm like, that's not changing for the next like
5 years.
Exactly. Well, let's hope. But at least for right now, it's like, no, like I don't have time. Sorry. Like, love you, but sorry. Like, I can't. But and I think that's definitely something that you feel as soon as you are an entrepreneur and like you're doing your thing, like it just very, very separates you from.
And I think for me, like that's why I've like loved this. Like when we hang out,
it's like a support group,
right? It is.
It is.
An entrepreneurial support.
I feel like I'd always found people who were like, kind of like, oh, I want to do this, and then I kind of click with them because I'm like, I want to do something too. I want to be something. I want to push for something. But a lot of people don't necessarily take the step. So it's like really refreshing to like be in the presence of other people who are literally also doing it and like, you know, struggling. Like, because like that struggle, like we really relate in that. And you know, we're not like, you know, we're not wanting to start a business. We're also just not like all millionaires here, right?
Exactly.
Not yet.
We're all in the thick
it's
of
funny.
it.
I have this one friend. I'm part of like a men's group, and he was just like down. He's young, like 24, and he's just like down on himself. And like the group has a bunch of entrepreneurs in there. He's like, oh, like I'm just not making the money I want. Like I just thought entrepreneurs always like made 6 figures. Like, oh, you guys are doing so well, and I just like I'm not making 6 figures. I'm like, I'm not making 6 figures. I was like, what kind of entrepreneurs are you hanging out with? You know, it was just, but the perception of like what an entrepreneur is, and you know, like we're not all Elon Musk. You know, that's what you see, and that's what you see on Instagram and YouTube, and.
But you also don't see like the potentially decade of struggle that somebody has before they
before
make
they make
Yeah.
it. And even like I find something that I've struggled with when it comes to like family is like, even though the business makes a certain amount of money, like that does not mean that we take
I'm taking it home.
Right.
all of that money.
Like,
and I've found that it's like, they're like, oh, but you're doing so well. I'm like, yeah, of course. So we're doing super well. But like, we're still like only taking literally 1% home. Like, we don't take to make it grow and like make it happen. We're sacrificing a lot. And it's like, I don't have money to lend you. Sorry. Like, I don't have anything because I'm putting it all in this,
the business.
you know? So,
Totally.
But yeah.
It's super interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, but like honestly, this has been like real.
This has been great.
Because what people don't know is we've been planning this for
at least 6 months.
At least
longer than that,
6 to 9 months.
It was like before the summer. It was like
that's
true. Because I remember sitting
Almost
in the
a year,
park.
I tried to just start
Remember?
putting dates in the calendar 6 months ago.
And like the Vancouver Library has a podcast room. I created an account and I'd like look at their schedule, line all 4 of our schedules up, and then like they're like, oh, it didn't go through, and I'd do it again. It didn't go through. Like I just could not figure out how to use the public library one, and then we just couldn't line our schedules up. And like big secret is like, I've always wanted to be on a podcast. Well, like always, like podcasts haven't been that long.
No,
and so like, but like it's been a good dream of mine, and like I think the actual 2018, I think my goal was to get on a podcast, and didn't work, so I'm just creating my own. And so super stoked for that we actually like made this happen.
I think it's been really good. It's like really.
I've had fun.
I've had fun. Like,
so we'll see. I think the same thing as anything. The first one's gonna suck, but like we'll get through, and I'm super stoked for it.
Just keep listening.
Just keep listening, and
we'll get better at this.
We'll get better.
Besides technical issues, because there's probably gonna be some, but like. If there's questions or things you want us to talk about, topical conversation, hit us up. DM us.
DM us if you're on Instagram. Comment down below.
I think mostly it's going to be YouTube.
Oh, right.
And Instagram.
That's it.
We're just going to YouTube and Instagram.
If you're an entrepreneur and you can relate, the struggle is real, like hit us up.
We'll go into like topics of like the kind of like actual things you do once your business is running, not just like how to figure out your name or how to register your business or whatever. It's going to be about like managing employees and like all kinds of topics that are really relatable to like when you're actually doing it.
And sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, because I do listen to a lot of podcasts or watch a lot of podcasts. And what's out there is like, do this, hustle, like, da-da-da-da-da. Like, this is kind of more like a support group. And we probably will have advice, but it's not going to be like...
But it might be totally wrong.
It might be totally wrong, but like...
We have no idea what we're doing.
I'm not like, I don't feel like I want to be like the guru. The advice guru.
We're just like learning, we're hacking our way through this.
We're the business hacks.
We're the business hacks.
That's it.
So
I
think was that.
That's a great way to end it, man.
That's it.
Episode 1.
All right.
That's episode 1.
Done.
That's awesome.
We did it.
We did it.
Wow, we did a podcast.